Good afternoon. Welcome to our beautiful St. Patrick Parish, and know that this is a place where you're always going to be welcome. I was thinking of all sorts of remarks here today, and I'll get to those. But it dawned on me in listening to the Bell Choir rehearsed, and I had goosebumps in the back of the church. And I started looking at that stained glass window over here, and it's the birth of Jesus Christ. And I said, that's what the season is all about. And then I thought about it, and the choir kept saying, thank you for having us, thank you for having us. And I'm saying, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your gift of music with us today. I, for one, and my white belly, we've heard you several times, so we know what to expect. And let's just get on with the housekeeping. Being an old church, we don't have restrooms here. So if you need the restroom, you have to exit the church, go across the hall, go across to Columbia Hall, and straight across the hall. And the other thing, and I made sure I just did this, please, we're not part of the performance, so make sure you turn your bells off and your cell phone. We appreciate it. I want to thank all of you for coming today. This is a great turnout. And special thanks to Father Jack Brennan, because when Ellie and I mentioned wanting to do this, yes, absolutely. And thank you to the Monson Select Board for helping us out. M-PACT for recording it. And our dearest friends and ladies of the parish for the refreshments afterwards. And don't worry, choir, we're going to feed you dinner. After you leave. Ellie and I were first introduced to Chime In when our son, Rob, started dating his future wife, Amanda. She was a Handbell Choir member. And so, of course, we were invited to the University of Massachusetts. We were invited to Bethlehem, Connecticut, and Newtown, Connecticut, to attend various performances. Then on October 8th, 2016, Rick Wood, the director, got up at the First Church of Bethlehem, and he said, we're going to have a bell concert today, and somewhere in the middle, we're going to have a wedding. And they played at our son's wedding. So I'm breaking up. So today, we get to enjoy that very same Handbell Choir with added members, ranging in age from 12 to, I'm not obliged to tell. And last February, I said to Rick, what would it take to get you here? And he said, just ask us. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my great pleasure, it really truly is, from Bethlehem, Connecticut, Mr. Rick Wood, the Chime In, Music with a Mission, Handbell Choir, and I know you're going to enjoy this holiday treat. Enjoy.
Thank you, Peter. I really do appreciate this invitation. And it was an invitation, and we are very pleased to be here, and we're very grateful to have the opportunity to perform in this space. When Peter asked me about it and sent me photographs of the place, of this room, this sanctuary, I just went, oh, yes, we have to do this. And so one of the things we said about doing over the next 10 months was to plan a concert specifically for this space. So this concert, we're doing bits of it in Bethlehem, but we're not doing this concert anywhere else. We planned it for here. Chime In Music with a Mission is an organization. We are a nonprofit organization. We're housed at the First Church of Bethlehem. We used to be the Handbell Choirs of First Church until we exploded. There are 24 wingers here today. Next Saturday at our main concert, there will be 34 wingers. And 40 more wingers and singers, our children's program, have already done their concert. So we have well over 70 members of Chime In. And so we are thrilled to be here as a group. I don't normally open concerts by talking, but I want to talk about a few things. Because I want you to come away today thinking, oh, I understood this music. I didn't just hear pretty music. I understood what was going on with the music. And so the first section, we're going to play 3 pieces in a sequence. And we ask that there be no applause until the end of the third one. You'll know when we get to the end of the third one, because I can tell you, I'll tell you one little story here. We've played this piece all over the place. We played it at the International Festival of Arts and Ideas on the New Haven Green in New Haven, Connecticut, as a group playing before Roseanne Cash. You know, there were 2 dressing rooms that day. Roseanne Cash chimed in. We played this once in a barn in Goshen, Connecticut, and when we hit the ending, the heavens opened up, and the thunder, and the lightning, and the rain came pouring down. You'll know when we get to the end of that section. And the 3 pieces that we're going to do as a sequence are really all put together as part of a mystical, sort of ethereal, wonder-filled realm of Christmas. The first piece is I Wonder As I Wander. I Wonder As I Wander was an Appalachian Christmas carol. And the composer of this arrangement, Kathy Moklebus, is one of our favorites. We've worked with her a number of times. And I just want to read a little bit of this piece that was written 92 years ago. I wonder as I wander out under the sky, how Jesus the Savior did come for to die. For poor, ordinary people like you and like I wonder as I wander out under the sky. So that's the opening piece. The second piece is called King's Fold. That's the name of the tune. It's also the name of a place in England where it was written. And it's thought to originate in the Middle Ages, this tune. And the text for that is,
Oh, sing a song of Bethlehem, of shepherds watching there, and of the news that came to them from angels in the air. The light that shone on Bethlehem fills all the world today. Of Jesus' birth and peace on earth, the angels sing alway.
and the third piece, Change Ring Prelude on Divinum Mysterium, was the processional of the wedding you heard about. It was part of the bargain coming here. It was written, it's based on change ringing, which is what happens in the towers of bells in England and other parts of Europe when the bells are chiming, the bells are ringing. Okay? When those bells are ringing, they're not just ringing, they are ringing mathematical sequences And those mathematical sequences can be as short as coming around from end back to where they started in 2 minutes. Some of them can go for 2 weeks or even longer, but there are all these different kinds of sequences that they ring. And so you're going to hear a bit of change ringing as part of this piece. The text for this, actually, the tune Divine Mysterium comes from the 12th century. It's an ancient plain chant. And the text, which we know is of the Father's love begotten, comes from the 4th century. So this is ancient music and text that we're going to hear today. And Barb, would you?
Of the Father's love begotten, ere the worlds began to be, He is Alpha and Omega, He the source, the ending He, of the things that are, that have been, and that future years shall see, evermore and evermore.
Chime in. Our invitation is in our name. We invite people to be part of what we do. And so some of the ringers are coming down and they're going to hand out some little brass bells for you to help us make this first piece happen. And while they're doing that, I will just tell you a little bit more. I'll tell you a little bit more about Chime In. As an organization, we make it possible for everyone and anyone who wants to participate in music to be part of our organization. We open our doors. We have folks in wheelchairs. We have folks who can't read music. We have folks who are dyslexic. We have folks who have cognitive challenges. We have all kinds of people who come and join us. And so we make sure that anybody and everybody can be part of that music. And so we invite you today, you're going to have a couple of chances to be part of our music. And once we get these bells handed out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to learn a few things about what directors do. Okay? So first, when I do this, I will be asking you to begin. Okay? If I do this, I'd like you to get loud. If I do this, I'd like you to get softer. If I do this, I'd like you to end. Okay? And silence the bell. Okay? So we've got a few more coming here. They're still handing out. This is a huge audience. We're so excited to see this. Okay? There is a third bag sale.
I already.
That means there are over 100. Okay. I'm here to consider. So I'm going to ask you to begin. Okay, good. Now what if I do this? Very nice. Keep it going. So I'm gonna just turn it over to Samantha for a moment here, but before I do, could I have some of the Zion members please go get the baskets to the back and go to the best? Few logistical things.
So he asked if I could talk, and the question really is, can I talk? I don't know. That's pretty near on the best we've done that. This is a beautiful space to hear that. Thanks for making us do that, Peter. That was really great. My name is Samantha Beshta. I'm the Assistant Director of Chime In. I'm excited that Rick asked us to do that piece because when we chose King's Fold was one that I heard happen out west, and it's unpublished. And so I asked the arranger, I said, can I have it? I want to do it. And here's what I want to do. I want to tie it right into Change Ring. I just want to tumble them right into one another, and it's just so great. The next thing that we're playing for you today, this is our pop music section of the wait, what's next? So we have to pass out a whole bunch of stuff. Well, not yet. Okay, not yet. So this is the pop music section of the concert. Sort of. The next piece is featured in a originally animated motion picture turned live action motion picture starring Jim Carrey. And Mariah Carey made this beautiful piece of music famous with her sweet, sweet vocals. So this is Where Are You Christmas? Arranged by Andrew Lewis and Henry Ted. They're still looking for stuff and you're still handing in bells, so I'm just going to give one more quick shout out. That's our 12-year-old. He is not shy about taking on a challenge, and so while he was in the middle of baseball season and we were rehearsing this music, I was like, okay, well, you're not coming to rehearsal, so I'll just give you the bell tree part. So you get all of those, and you have 2 weeks to figure it out.
He's related to somebody.
Yeah, he's related to one of the ringers. It's me. My daughter Penelope is starting to ring, just starting, she's 9, but she has a vocal concert today. It's her very first one, so she can come. What's that? Okay. Everything has been found, everything has been collected. Where are you, Christmas? Felicity is a name that means with great joy, and they came from a time of not particular joyfulness. It was COVID when we came together, because as you can imagine, during COVID, we could not all be ringing together, sharing stands and sharing air. So we potted up, the three of us, and decided what kind of music we wanted to make and how much fun we wanted to have. Am I introing the wrong thing? I'm good. Okay, good.
Except you gotta,
That's fine.
you gotta do your stuff.
Yeah, I know, that's fine. So anyway, that's where we came from, and we decided that we like ringing things that we really have no business ringing. Like, there's only three of us, and at most we can maybe ring 6 bells at a time in our hands, but like really 4 is more comfortable. But we take on things with 5 octaves and that sort of thing. So I've been looking for a long time for something with a little bit more ethnic flair for the holiday season. So I was looking for a Feliz Navidad. And there isn't one that we could really turn into our own, because they were too much or they weren't quite enough to be what we want to do. So I made one. Me and my son Dashiell put it together, and it's probably harder than it needs to be because I'm not good at arranging handbells. It's my first time. So that's that. We have some things that have to get passed out to you guys, and I think I'm turning it over to him because he's standing up, and I'm going to go sit up.
Okay, thank you, Samantha. So I need some signers who are at that table there. There are 3 baskets of stuff. Okay, if we could start, big baskets with handles. Yes. We have a few things that are going to get handed out to you. I think we've had enough of them. Rita, could I have just a couple of those things right now? Here, I'm going to show you these. Okay. So, some of you are going to get some jingle bells. I'm engaged in jingle bells, and we're going to go at certain times. Okay, I'm going to do the director thing. Okay, Sam, you're going to, I don't even know, I haven't even heard this yet. So we're doing this on the fly, but I'm going to add percussion while Sam's laying out the storm on me. So jingle bells, just watch me, we'll probably do some, and then that sort of thing. A lot of people are going to get tapes that look like this, and you're just going to go. Okay? A few people have 2 sticks, and you should have 2 sticks, not just 1. They are claves, and Jen is the front. So you're going to watch Jen, okay? Yeah. And here's Jen. There's my percussion. Come on down here, Jen. Okay. About 4 people got tambourines, and this is our tambourine man here. You're going to watch him, okay? And he's going to do it. So we're not talking about that. In case you wonder, our concerts are very informal. We're not special.
Yeah, this is sort of standard issue for a Chinese concert. Is we hand out a bunch of stuff, we let you guys have a party while we play up here, then we ask for our back, hopefully everybody gets done.
It's not infrequently that we do things on the spur of the moment. So thank you for listening. So is anybody having fun yet? Good. So while we have to make a big shift up front, and while they're doing that, I just want to talk a little bit about our instruments, because you've heard some different sounds coming from up front. Okay? You heard some different sounds on the sides. We have with us today, we actually, you see the school bus out there? It doesn't take an hour to load a school bus like we thought it would. It takes 2 hours. And so that's part of why we were still working when you came in here today. We were running a little behind schedule. But we brought with us 24 tables and pads, which you see up there, along with these pew tables. These are special things that we make and use in different places. We brought 34 music stands and a pile of little percussion instruments for the audience, right? So I think there were 130 pegs and like 75 jingle bells, just a whole pile of stuff. But the big thing is, on the bus this morning, there were 380 handbells and chimes. You're seeing something that is rarely seen unless you go to a mass ring. Okay? Chime In is very lucky. We own several sets of bells. 3 of them are made by Schulmerich, a company in this country that is a foundry that makes handbells and tower bells. We own 2 sets of Malmark hand chimes. Malmark is the company that the guy who didn't like what Schulmerich was doing left and went over the hill and created his own handbell company. And so we have 2 sets of hand chimes with us. The biggest hand chimes aren't really by hand, but they're standing up in the corner. You may not be able to see them very well. But the big one's almost as tall as I am. And those are our lowest instrument. They are also our most delicate. The biggest one, the C2, which is way down on the piano keyboard, we have replaced it 3 times because it's very delicate and it will crack as it's used over time. We also have tubular bells, which you'll see in the back. I don't think, yeah, Dash is going back there. Dash got all kinds of interesting parts because of his baseball stick. Oh, thank you, Dash. Okay. So you've already heard some music that uses our main set of bells, those Schulmerich bells, and you've heard the hand chimes come in a little bit. You're going to hear a lot more of that in this next piece. But we're also adding some bells that you heard in the very first piece, which are Pettit and Fritzen bells. They were made in the Netherlands, and they are tuned in a different fashion than the American bells. The American bells have a major 12th as their overtone series, so it's a major sound. The Pettit Fritzens have a minor 10th, which is a minor sounding, a darker sounding bell, much more like the tower bells that you might hear. And I'm just going to ask, oh no, he's back there. Oh wait, okay. Are we still looking for some of them?
Yes.
Some are missing, okay. They went the wrong direction. We can't start the piece without it. Okay, Dash, could you pick up yes, that's a good one. Could you bring one for me? Do you hear that? Is that the G4?
C5.
C5, can I hear the C5? Oh.
That is a G you asked for.
Okay. Bring the C5 for me again, Dash. Yeah, go ahead. And bring a Schulmerich C5 for me. You hear the difference? Okay. So you're going to hear those Petit Fritzen bells used in this piece. And then in another piece, you're going to hear what you heard on the bell tree over here, these silver melody bells, which are, they look like a tin can polished on a stick, okay? They have a very bright sound, okay? These are also made by Schulmerich here in this country, in Pennsylvania. And so we like to make combinations of all sorts of sounds to create pieces. This next piece is the first piece in a sequence in the concert that we're calling And the Angels Sing. You will hear, as we do this piece, a familiar tune somewhere in each of the 4 pieces that we're about to play. I'm going to ask at the end what it was and see who knows. So listen carefully. I know you know it. Okay. So I'm going to ask you for that. And what do you envision when you envision angels? What's the picture? Things. Wings. White fluffy clouds, white wings. What else? What else do you envision? Halos. Yes. Angelic. Right? The word angelic. Well, in the Bible, angels are not so fluffy and fun, right? They were pretty scary. They scared the shepherds, practically off the mountain, right? Okay. So this next tune, the angel Gabriel from Heaven Came, is a tune that was written in the Middle Ages originally, and the text to this hymn was written in 1849. But Joel Rainey, who is the arranger of this version of Angel Gabriel from Heaven Came, says, angels aren't so cute. They're kind of scary. And so that's why I wrote this composition. And let me just read a little of the text. The angel Gabriel from heaven came. His wings drifted with snow, his eyes aflame. All hail, said he to meek and lowly Mary, most highly favored maiden, Gloria. The angel Gabriel from heaven came down, arranged by Joel Rainey. So our sequence continues. But before we go on, if I can find my notes, I'm going to do something that we always do at our concerts, which is, do you see anything you want to know about up there? Any questions? Anybody have a question?
I have one.
Oh, you do?
Do we have another handle?
Oh, my God. Which one is it? Yes. Okay.
Real fun.
Not the first time. So, question, yes?
Did I skip out that was on a stick?
Yes, so those are hand chimes. This is, I've just got a small one up front here. Yes, it looks like a tuning fork. I don't know if you can see back there. It looks like a tuning fork with a mallet attached to it. Okay? So we rig them like this, and yes, you heard a lot of that in this piece. These are very mellow sounding. Could I get someone to play C4 for me on a chime? Here, do it again. Hear that there? Now a G4 maybe? Chime. Okay. Yeah, play them together for me. You hear, it's a very mellow sound. That's what those tuning fork-like things are. They're the ones made by the Walmart. Yes. Schulmerich makes some, but I like the Walmart ones more. Any other questions? Yes?
What's the lightest weight and the heaviest weight?
Okay. I haven't had that one before. How much do E8 weigh? Like, it's less than a pound, would you say? Yeah. Definitely less than a pound. The big ones are on the order of 14 or 15 pounds. And as Samantha always likes to refer, it's like swinging a turkey on the end of the stick. And it is heavy. There are only a few of us that play those one-handed, okay? And most people in the choir, if they were back there, they'd be playing two-handed. Yes. Any other questions? Good questions. Yes.
What sounded like cymbals?
Like this kind of cymbal. We were actually, in that last piece, Dan was playing a suspended cymbal. He was rolling it. We have a very large, it's about this big, cymbal, and he was rolling that. Yes. Question up here. Yes. Oh, that's a wonderful question. Thank you. I should have been talking about that, and I didn't put it in my notes, so I'm glad you asked it. So, I've told you that Chime In is a very inclusive group, and that we are open to everybody, and we try to make it possible for everyone. One of the things that we do is we say to each ringer, pick your own color. Okay? Pick the color that is you. Okay? And that color represents that individual. Each of us is an individual as we come together. But when we come to the table, it's our music that makes us one. Okay? And we have to be one, as you can see, in order to make that music. And that is one of the things that makes handbell ringing very different than playing the organ or playing the trumpet. The trumpet, you get to play a whole line. The handbells, you get to play this note and the next one. And somebody's playing the next two, and the next two, and the next two. And so you don't get to play everything in the line. You got to know the rhythms to know where's that little piece coming in there, you know. So thank you. Yes. Amy, how are we doing? We're looking good? Okay. I think I'm going to move on. I'll give another opportunity for questions. We're going to turn to a very different view of angels now. This poem was written in 1849, and the tune was written a year later for It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. And this piece also speaks about the angels and how the angels speak to the shepherds. I'll read you just the first little bit of this. This arrangement is by Arnold Sherman. Arnold passed away a year ago, and he was a wonderful composer. And many of us have known his works for many, many years. So we miss his work, new works. This is called "It Came Upon the Midnight Clear." It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. That's a very different picture, isn't it, than that last piece. Peace on earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's all-gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay, to hear the angels sing. coming from the back. That's what sounded like the tower bells. And I had to do that piece of it. It's beautiful. Thank you. So, any other questions? I think I saw another hand that I didn't get to. Did I? Yes.
I just wanted to know which one of them sounded like a drum.
Sounds like a drum.
Yeah, when you play
When we were playing that.
not this one.
The previous, oh, the boom, boom, boom. Oh, well, there's a secret. We have something called a bass box. And it's a wooden box with a drum thing. And Dan, who was playing over here, had a foot pedal and was playing. So you did hear the equivalent of the drum. Yes, okay. Yes, in the back.
Who makes the music for the bells? Who does the arrangements and adapts it for a bell choir?
Sure. So there are literally hundreds of Handbell arrangers and composers, people who write music strictly, brand new piece, not taking melody from anywhere, and there are many arrangers throughout the world. Handbells are popular in many, many parts of the world. And we actually have had the opportunity to work with Kevin McChesney. He is actually mentoring Samantha as a director. He is probably the most prolific Handbell composer living, and he, I would say, would you say, Sam, over 1,000 compositions?
Something like that?
Yeah, something like that. So there are many people that arrange. We also have amongst us Tony, who has done her first arrangement. She was playing the keyboard, the synthesizer. Where's Tony? There's Tony. She's written a piece that we're going to bring later in the year. And there's another composer back there. Where is he? Oh, here he is over here. Colin. Colin has written music for us. I arrange music sometimes. My kids will tell you that I've written a great hit, probably 25 times. It's called Silent Night. I've done more arrangements of Silent Night than I can think of. So, yes, and I saw another hand. Yes?
Can everybody play along?
Can everybody play all the instruments? So most people can play them all. When it gets to the big bells, they're a little heavy for some people, even two-handed, so some people don't play there. But most people, in this group anyway, learn to play all the bells and switch around. And you'll see there's some techniques where we have 4 bells in our hands. We're doing this. Not everybody knows that. Our beginner groups, they mostly stick to a range of bells. So they may learn some of the slightly bigger bells or the middle-sized bells or the small bells. And I keep them in that area for a little while until they get confident, and then I move them around. But I have the luxury of starting this choir 30 years ago from scratch. And so they didn't know the rule that these are my bells and nobody else plays them. Right. So if you go to many bell choirs, you'll find that that's the only way they play, is they sing 2 bells always. I saw another question. I'll take one more before we move on. No, okay, I guess I got it. So this next piece also has its roots in the Middle Ages. It was first published in its current form in 1833, and it reflects that concept of how the angels came to the poor, to the meek, to the lowly members of society to announce the birth, right? So this is the first Noel, a beautiful arrangement by Senator Ethan. I've also had a chance to work with her. She and Kathy Mokelbust are my 2 favorites, and I had a chance to work in a session with the 2 of them together, which is great. The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay. In fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. The first Noel, arranged by Senator Ethan. There's another tradition for Chime In. We have so many traditions. And this one's called the petting zoo. I said that once in front of a bunch of kids and they were really disappointed. So I'm very careful to make sure that I make it very clear. So the petting zoo is an opportunity for all of you, after the concert is over, to come up, speak to a ringer, and try out a bell, or try out a chime, or try out the tubular bells, or the big chimes, or the bell trees. Whatever you would like to do, you're welcome to come up front, and we will spend time with everybody who would like to try it out. How many people are handbell ringers out there? Oh, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we have a few. Okay. Usually at this point I say Monday night, Tuesday night, for not this group, but our group of some beginners and some intermediate ringers. Okay. But it's a little far to drive to Bethlehem from here. Unless you're from Bethlehem. I see somebody from Bethlehem. So, any last questions before we move on to the final piece of it? Yes?
Why gloves?
Why the gloves? There are two basic reasons for gloves. We wear the gloves, one, to keep all the grime and dirt and oil from our hands getting on the bells, because the bells, it causes them to tarnish. And so we clean the bells once a year with a collection of over 250 bells. We start in the morning and we polish. We have lunch and we polish. We have pizza and we polish. And we usually don't finish. So we do that once a year, and so the gloves help us keep them clean. The second one is when you're doing this four-in-hand thing, or you're doing the big bells, the padding helps. So what I do is my gloves, I have one pair inside another. I have 2 pairs of gloves to help with the padding, because I often wear it in the base. So, any other questions? I still hear chatter behind me. They're looking for bells. What you looking for, though?
G5
Okay. G5 silver melody. It's always a search by this time in the concert after we've shuffled the bells 20 times. Yes. Carpal tunnel. Okay. So in order to avoid that, you have to ring properly. Okay. So if you watch, I hope, because if I try to catch it when I see it. If you watch, the ringers are ringing like this, and they are not flexing their wrists. Okay? If you ring like this, you're going to develop carpal tunnel in no time. Okay? And so even when you've got four-in-hand, the way the four-in-hand bells work, I don't have my gloves on, but let me pick up 2 here. If I'm doing a four-in-hand, I have one bell this way, and I go, whoops, it's backward. There we go. I ring it this way, and to ring this bell, I ring it this way. So it's my arm that does the work. Okay. So yes, that is a danger, and we work hard not to inflict that on anyone.
Other fun injuries include tennis elbow and golf elbow.
What we call belbow. Yes, that does happen. I've been through that a few times. Anybody else questions? Okay. Are we ready back there? Did we find everybody? Almost. This is a big piece. Everybody's ringing this one, so it takes a bit to get all the parts together. So before we finish tonight, I have to say a really big thank you to this parish, to this St. Church parish, and to Peter and Ellie for hosting us. It's been wonderful to bring in here. The sound is just glorious. And I have to say thank you to all of you for coming. My goodness, we have such a big audience. And it's just wonderful to have our music enjoyed by so many people. This next piece, I should start at the end of the thing, is another arrangement by Kathy Malkovas, one of my favorites. The piece that we started the program with I Wonder As I Wander is one of her arrangements, and this is another one. The lyrics come from 1862, and it's based on an 18th century French tune. Once again, this piece reflects the idea that the angels announced the birth to the poor, the meek, and the lowly. And in this one, you're going to hear a whole different style for the angels. Okay? We had the very scary angels. We've had the floaty angels. We're now going to hear the angels do a little floaty thing, and then we're going to hear them get down the boogie. And then we're going to hear them warm up their voices and their trumpets, and then they're going to make the proclamation. So I think you'll enjoy this. Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing Lord plains, and the mountains in reply echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo, Gloria in excelsis Deo. Angels we have heard on high, arranged by Kathy Malkovas. before that. Okay, here we go. I'm doing the wrong one.
You think we could get them to come back another time? Let's tell them another time.